develop, because I think you've maybe did you react to me and AMS's conversation a couple of years ago about marriage?
I didn't react to it. I didn't do a reaction video. Okay. But yeah, I made a comment about it.
Okay, you made a comment about it. Okay, so to me, I'm really excited about it, but it's also key to talk about experience. Mm-hmm. Experience shapes your view, right? Yeah. So a girl who's been abused by a lot of different men, she's going to have a very cynical leaning view towards men. A man who's been cheated by business partners will have a very cynical view about having potential business partners. So it's also unique to talk about we have to be honest. Yeah. Nobody here is 100% objective. That's one of my arguments always with red pill stuff. They say they're speaking the truth. You're not a robot. You know, you have your biases, right? Call it for what it is. We all have our biases. I have biases. You have biases. Coach has biases. As much as we think we are, we have to be 100% honest to the people about our biases. If I'm an individual and I was divorced and I had a difficult experience via marriage, I'm going to have a biased opinion via marriage. Allie has a positive experience with marriage, so she can have a bias towards, well, great marriages can work, right? So similar to me, the people I admire the most, the people I look up to are married people. Patrick Bet-David, Jordan Peterson, my father, Pastor Mark Driscoll, people who I look up to the most, right? Long-term marriages, the people that I celebrate a lot. Long-term marriages. My father and mother have been married for over 30 years. Great, healthy marriage. So that's my opinion. My pastor, Pastor Heidi Lewis, been married over 25 years. So that's my worldview. And so to me, hearing what he's sharing, there is truth in that. Everything what everyone's going to share is going to be truth in it. Yes, if you, like my dad told me a very powerful point. I love my father. He's such a wise older man. He said the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is the one you marry. Yes. And it can go one of two ways. And this is what I want the guys to understand. We're not teaching naivete, which is, oh, marriage is this perfect thing and you just meet the one and live happily ever after. And there's no issues, there's no divorces. Right. We're not teaching naivete. Marriage can be the worst thing in your life. It can be an absolute living hell. And I guarantee you can go for days and and you know so many different stories about people which marriage is an absolute living hell. But we don't want to teach being naive about the realities, but also we don't want to teach nihilism. Right? The other end of the extreme. Marriage is the worst thing possible, and the women are out to get your money, and everyone's miserable, and everybody's roommates, and everybody's this. Because there are some individuals, such as what Alex communicated, who are in happy, healthy long-term marriage, right? So you don't want to be naive, you want to be nihilistic, you want to be as real as possible. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. And my biggest thing is that I understand that marriage is a very difficult thing to get right. And the same thing is like, I love what you do. It's marriage and money, right? I think we're going to be talking about those two things today. Adam, you're a 1% man financially, right? That means 99% of people are trying to get to where Adam is. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling. Their lives suck when it comes to money. Most people are struggling, but they're trying to get to where you are. That's how I view relationships. Most people are in really sucky relationships.
So women, you know, we're more educated now. And
Americans owe more than $1.5 trillion in student loan debt, and women reportedly hold around 2/3 of that debt.
Women hold nearly 2/3 of the outstanding student debt at around $930 billion.
Now, some presidential candidates are proposing solutions to fix the worsening debt problem.
This proposal completely eliminates student debt in this country.
I also found it interesting that 37% of women don't really understand the whole student loan payback system, but men, they understand it a little bit better.
So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
And the irony is that this is Elizabeth Warren, the woman who was getting $300,000 a year for teaching one course.
How do you feel about these people here who show up to show their free speech, trying to censor you right now?
The divorce rate in California is how much now?
Statistics said 75%.
So 75%.
Every 13 seconds there's a divorce in this country.
53% of marriages end in divorce.
Second-time marriages end in a divorce rate of 62%. And third-time marriages, 73% failure rate.
Married women are more than twice as likely as married men to take the first step towards divorce.
The average litigated divorce costs $100,000 on each side, and it can take anywhere from 1.5 years to 3 years.
If I said to you there's a 53% chance that we're going to get hit in the head with a bowling ball, you would either stay inside or at a minimum you would wear a helmet.
So how do we prevent this?
Never get a marriage license. And if a woman says that she's not going to marry you until you get a license, you know that's not the woman for you.
How do you feel about these people here who show up to show their free speech trying to censor you right now?
Many women say they are finding it very hard to find a man who makes as much as they do. That the country's declining marriage rate is due to the lack of financially eligible bachelors. Researchers say they are seeing a trend of women dating down, which means, a man who, this is just the reality of it. So women, we're more educated now. We're going to hold off on the baby making. We're going to hold off until we get that great job, really career driven. And I don't think there's anything wrong with hoping that there's someone either on your level or higher than you.
So before, right, it was okay when the man made more money to be the one to buy everything, to do, treat you and all this other kind of stuff. And now that you make more money, you can't be that one because you're dating down.
I hate that.
What is that? If there's a responsibility that comes with making more money, accept it. You wanted to make more money. Right. Are you going to find many men out there that makes as much as you do?
I can do bad by myself.
Left to say. All right, time now. 5:11. Let's.
My body, my choice. What happened? Where did all the men go? I'll be okay. I don't need no man in my life to make my day.
I think if youngsters take the pill, sexuality will go out of control, and you can forget about love.
I've had 2 abortions. I don't give a It's my body, it's my choice.
I am a nasty woman.
Many women say they are finding it very hard to find a man who makes as much as they do.
If there's a responsibility that comes with making more money, accept it. You wanted to make more money.
Somebody needs to pay for all my children. Somebody needs to be held accountable, and they need to pay.
How do you feel about these people here who show up to show their free speech trying to censor you?
Where a lot of the frustration comes from. So it's a beautiful thing that now, in the first time in 70 years, men have the microphone. Yeah. We have the power.
For the first time in how long?
70 years.
What do you mean the first time in 70 years men have the microphone?
You're old enough to remember this. You remember Ricky Lake? You remember Sally Jesse Raphael? You remember Oprah Winfrey?
Yes.
Hi, my friends. Welcome to the RP Experience. Peace and love to my brothers and sisters. Today's video is going to be about a battle between 2 big content creators. One is Hafeez and another one is Coach Greg Adams. I watched both of them, but I resonated more with Coach Greg Adams. I did like Hafeez because he did try to take a more balanced approach, pretty much like what I am doing. But even though I take somewhat of a balanced approach, I am more like 60% toward the men's side, just because there was a lot of things that women either deny or they don't admit and they don't talk about. So that's why I'm definitely leaning more that way. I just will address some things that men are also messing up with too. But, and because I've been on that, I consider Hafeez on the light side when it comes to marriage. Coach Greg Adams is definitely more on the dark side, and as I say, I'm in the middle, the gray Jedi. But however, I have no problems going more over to the dark side. And while we are at it, please hit the like button while we are at it. Give you a second to do that. Thank you very much. So, without further ado, we're going to get into this, but I'm just going to say this first. When I came into this space before I started making my own videos, I think one of the first creators I came across was Alpha Male Strategies, AMS. Then, of course, I've seen Donovan Sharp, I've seen Anthony Spade, I've seen MTR, Danica Marie, Fresh and Fit, Kevin Samuels, but the one I resonated with the most was Coach Greg Adams, because even though he's more on the dark side, he does. I mean, I always feel with him, and of course, feel and think with him that, you know, he definitely looks at it more on a logical angle, and he's trying to help men be more safe out here with dealing with women, and to be honest with ourselves and stuff, because a lot of dudes deny stuff, you know. Same thing like pickup artists. They'll act like they're always banging like 9s and 10s, but they neglect to say that they do be hooking up with women that, you know, you would think that's a 1 or a 2 or a 3, or, you know, something that's not what they are bragging about. But they leave that part out. And that goes back to that thing when I was talking about people leaving parts out of a story. I believe I'm going to separate this into 2 videos, just because I know this is going to be too long, and sometimes I'll be talking a bit too long. So we're going to get to their first real dust up. And there's also a woman there that I believe she's an anomaly. She's like married, has OnlyFans, but from what she says, it's a happy marriage. But anyway, let's begin.
It's like, this is meant to be an open dialogue, so you can kind of feel where you feel like is a good fit for you, or where you would fit in. But there's just too much of this. It's not always black and white, and I think I'm a perfect example of that. I'm a wife, a mother, and I am doing something that is quite taboo for who I am. But I do it well. I balance the two. Nothing's really changed in my life outside of what I'm doing. And so I think I enjoy doing these type of shows because it does give me the opportunity to really show a different light to the industry, a different light to me as a person. I mean, who I am, Allie Ray, is very different who I am in real life, prior to this. And I think that's just the side that people don't get to see. And so it's always...
something that I've got a cue cards and everything, and I'm just kind of throwing, but kind of all over the place here. But I find it interesting. You were married 9 years. Okay, and on the 10th day, he got out, kind of a thing. You've been married 20 years.
Almost 22.
22 years. If I had a cocktail, I'd cheers to you. And you've been married 1 year, okay?
Yeah.
And I was in a long-term relationship, single now, all good. What I want to know is, of your friends that have been married somewhat as long as you, I'm not saying as long as you, how many, let's say you have 100 friends. Let's just say 10 friends, just to kind of keep it simple. How many are still married? How many are happily married? How many are like, I just can't wait to be like Coach over here, and I'm looking, and we're in the 8th inning, I'm trying to get out before the game's over, kind of a thing. If you would break that down.
Yeah, so that's actually interesting. That I don't have very many friends, well, obviously because of my industry now, but even prior to that, because the friends that I did have that were in marriages, I've always been happy in marriage. I married literally to my best friend. We got married very young. I love him. I enjoy my time with him. We have fun together. I think what I would deal with is a lot of complaining. Like, it was every conversation in the break room at work is everybody just hates their husbands. And it was like,
these are the women complaining to you. And this is when you were a nurse?
Yeah, all the time. And I had a hard time connecting with people because it's like, well, here I'm going to be this girl like, oh, what? I love mine. We're going to go out and have drinks. You guys want to go? They're just, the guys, I always noticed the husbands were always out with their friends, and, the wives were always doing their own thing. It was a very divided household. And I've noticed this too. Even my sons, they're older now, but they've told me, like, at other people's house, it's just crazy. Like, I never see the parents sitting on the couch together like you guys do, or like hugging or kissing, or, walking in the kitchen, my husband slapped my ass. Like, it's just those things, like, they don't see any affection. And so I've never connected with a lot of other people because of that. So to answer your question, if you said I had 10 friends in a room, I'd say maybe 1 or 2 have at least marriages for that long, but I've never met someone that I think is truly as happy as we are, or that enjoys their time together. And I'm not saying that's how a marriage should be, because a lot of marriages, they really thrive on that space apart, and that's important to them. And so maybe that's just not what they do.
Here's what I'm hearing. And then I'm gonna turn it over to you. You're an anomaly. Okay, you're in a loving, sex-filled marriage, and you had a career, and now you're doing OnlyFans. Like, you're an anomaly. Okay, like, you're making more money than most women. You're happily married. Like, you're not the average. You're not the typical statistic. You're the
exception.
The exception to the rule. Correct. But what I'm also understanding is that a lot of your women, 8 out of 10, are basically in this marriage where they're upset, annoyed, they're sick of their husband. Because a lot of times we hear on my show and shows like this, men kind of need to be like the man running the show, tell these women what's up. But women have a voice in this perspective as well. Yeah. And they're kind of being the complaining behind the scenes. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I want everybody to understand. I'm going to look into this camera right here, so I hope you see me very well here. I want everybody to understand and remember that everything I say from this point, she backed it up. All right. So it's basically 0. All right. You have no hope, no chance. Past the 20 years, and that comes from experience. It also is the experience.
You have no chance of passing 20 years, you're saying?
No. You can pass 20 years. You'll probably be roommates, and you'll probably be overweight in a busted Pillsbury biscuit can, or you'll probably be the exception to the rule. But the data shows us, plus the experience that she expressed, that it's a very difficult thing. And this is what I want men to know.
Wow. That's why people out there that have your so-called happy marriages. I'm not talking about happy that like you are showing a facade on social media and to people outside that you're happy. I'm talking about that you are still happy with your partner, your wife, your husband, after 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 plus years, and you don't just become roommates. I'm going to let Coach finish his point though, but this right here is an argument against marriage, because most marriages is going to go that way. And with, like I had said in like a previous video, when I was at jobs and I was doing something like camera inventory or doing certain things, that the women was just in the back amongst themselves talking. And this is other jobs or other situations too, where you get a pack of women together. Most of them are complaining about their boyfriends. I wasn't around too many married people that was complaining. I remember as a kid, sometimes you would hear my mom's friends complain about, and actually, well, they probably wasn't married neither, but they was in real long-term relationships, so maybe they could have been married, but it was only maybe one, and usually they wasn't with that group that was truly happy in their relationship, and that's the same thing with men. And where she kind of has it wrong, guys only, usually they would complain about their significant other amongst their friends, or they would keep it on the down low. It's only now with the way like guys can more easily express themselves that they are saying their gripes with women and these type of things in general. Anyway, let's keep this going.
I want men to know.
Yeah.
It is very difficult. Many people will simplify it for you. They will say, oh, just do this and do that. And they will lead you on a wild goose chase. And that's my perspective. That's all that I offer. I tell men to not get married, especially when you don't have leverage. However, I also tell you, do not listen to people who simplify this. This is a very complicated thing that most people fail at miserably.
Got it.
And this is what I want people to know.
Yes, and that is the thing. Maybe it's a Western thing, but over here, they make light of marriage. that, if you love her, you would marry her. If you love him, well, I don't think women have some sort of thing of like, if you love him, you will marry him or something. But basically, it's put out there to, make her an honest woman. You become an honest man. Y'all live happily ever after. And I believe, especially now, people know that you do have to put work in. There are some things where women complain about. I do agree that men do kind of neglect in relationships, but there are lots of things that I believe women, females take for granted, that they just expect the man just to do like backflips or to always go with what they want or something, or they want the guy to be at two places at one time. It's kind of like the woman that wants the guy to make more money, but how is he going to make more money if he has to work around the clock or he has to put more energy into work? So what's going to happen? He's not going to be home. He's not going to be giving you that much attention. So then you're going to feel lonely. This doesn't happen in the beginning of the relationship. I do think that both men and women make this similar mistake of like, the guy will spend a lot of time at first and the woman will be really understanding at first, but then once everybody gets back to their auto set of how their life was going before, then both of them just start feeling a certain kind of way of what is going on. And I do believe like a lot of females get naive in this. Men do too, believing that just by giving in, bending over backwards for her, that everything's going to work out. So this is what drew me in with Coach Greg Adams, because I know after my divorce, I was actually thinking of suicide and a bunch of other stuff. And even though I was looking at all these other videos that was telling me of like how to hold masculine frame, how to handle women, how to do everything, it still was placing the fault mostly on me and not looking at how she was also responsible for what was going on. Or either if the relationship did break up, it was both of our fault, but maybe she just went through a change, a metamorphosis, and became another person that wanted another guy or to live a different lifestyle now, which that's no fault of my own. So, I'm only mad with myself that I just went along for the ride and almost went down the drain for someone that did not deserve that, for me to put that much emphasis that I needed them in my life. Anyway, Coach Greg Adams wins this scrimmage right here. We're going to see who wins the total round.
You said sometimes you'll turn have
leverage.
Okay, if you don't have leverage, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And you talk about turning into roommates. Well, this guy is the roommate, the host of the Roommate channel.
Right.
Yeah. When you're hearing this, you've been married 1 year. And by the way, this guy's a sharp, informed, very intentional guy. My assumption is he didn't just trip and fall into marriage.
He's seen myself before.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you've been very, you're a calculated dude.
100%.
Okay. So when you're hearing Greg say this, and even when you're hearing Allie say this, how are you processing this information?
No, this is really good, and I'm excited about how this conversation can develop, because I think you've maybe did you react to me and AMS's conversation a couple of years ago about marriage?
I didn't react to it. I didn't do a reaction video.
Okay.
But I made a comment about it.
Okay, you made a comment about it. Okay, so to me, I'm really excited about it, but it's also key to talk about experience. Mm-hmm. Experience shapes your view, right?
Yeah.
So a girl who's been abused by a lot of different men, she's going to have a very cynical leaning view towards men. A man who's been cheated by business partners will have a very cynical view about having potential business partners. So it's also unique to talk about we have to be honest.
Yeah.
Nobody here is 100% objective. That's one of my arguments always with red pill stuff. They say they're speaking the truth. You're not a robot. you know, you have your biases, right? Call it for what it is. We all have our biases. I have biases. You have biases. Coach has biases. As much as we think we are, we have to be 100% honest to the people about our biases. If I'm an individual and I was divorced and I had a difficult experience via marriage, I'm going to have a biased opinion via marriage. Allie has a positive experience with marriage, so she can have a bias towards, well, great marriages can work, right? So similar to me, the people I admire the most, the people I look up to are married people. Patrick Bet-David, Jordan Peterson, my father, Pastor Mark Driscoll, people who I look up to the most, right? Long-term marriages, the people that I celebrate a lot. Long-term marriages. My father and mother have been married for over 30 years. Great, healthy marriage. So that's my opinion. My pastor, Pastor Heidi Lewis, been married for over 25 years. So that's my worldview. And so to me, hearing what he's sharing, there is truth in that. Everything what everyone's going to share is going to be truth in it. Yes, if you, like my dad told me a very powerful point. I love my father. He's such a wise older man. He said the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is the one you marry. Yes. And it can go one of two ways. And this is what I want the guys to understand. We're not teaching naivete, which is, oh, marriage is a perfect thing and you just meet the one and live happily ever after. And there's no issues, there's no divorces. Right. We're not teaching naivete. Marriage can be the worst thing in your life. It can be an absolute living hell. And I guarantee you can go for days and you know so many different stories about people which marriage is an absolute living hell. But we don't want to teach being naive about the realities, but also we don't want to teach nihilism. Right? The other end of the extreme. Marriage is the worst thing possible, and women are out to get your money, and everyone's miserable, and everybody's roommates, and everybody's this. Because there are some individuals, such as what Alex communicated, who are in happy, healthy long-term marriage, right? So you don't want to be naive, you want to be nihilistic, you want to be as real as possible. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. And my biggest thing is that I understand that marriage is a very difficult thing to get right. And the same thing is like, I love how what you do is marriage and money, right? I think we're going to be talking about those two things today. Adam, you're a 1% man financially, right? That means 99% of people are trying to get to where Adam is. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling. Their lives suck when it comes to money. Most people are struggling, but they're trying to get where you are. That's how I view relationships. Most people are in really sucky relationship. Most people, it's a day-to-day war, hell, the way work is, the way the gym is. But then there are some people who are having it at the highest of level. The same way nobody says, oh, well, most people are not going to be in the 1%, so screw it. You should even try. It's, 90% of businesses end in 10 years. You should even try. We say if somebody's going to succeed, why not you? Which is why I love what you're doing. If someone's going to be rich, why not you? If someone's going to make money, why not you? If someone's going to have a great podcast, why not you? So for me, I acknowledge that the top of the mountain is rare. I acknowledge that. But what I also acknowledge is that if somebody's going to win, why not it be you? And how can we help as many men as possible get there? Everybody won't be able to get there, but how many people can we help get there? And that's what, to me, matters the most.
Gotcha.
Preach. I love that.
Now, when you hear something like this, obviously he's sort of saying, all right, I hear you, coach. Your marriage didn't work. You got out, thank God, before the 10-year mark. So you'd probably be a little bit more spiteful than you are. I'm not saying that you're spiteful, but you'd be even more spiteful if you're paying a ridiculous amount of alimony and everything that you've been paying. But is there anything?
Okay, Hafeez. Actually, okay. I will give you this point right here. Actually, instead of saying scrimmage, I should say point. So I gave Coach Greg Adams a point, and Hafeez, I give you a point. Only thing, though, you do go a little bit all over the place. But I know what you was trying to say right there. And this is a good point. You made the case that men pursuing success or goals or anything that they are trying to achieve, to put that same type of energy into making a marriage work. And that's a clever comparison, but it's not totally the same. Now, I still give you the point just because I like how you put that argument together. And I mean, I don't see too many holes in it. It's just that when I think of a sports team that wins the championship, they have to all get together on the same page and do it as one in order to win. Now, if one's pulling the other way or not going with the program, then it's not going to work. Maybe it takes more than one, because usually as a group, I guess you can get everybody on the same page. And that's the thing too, with like teams and stuff, you have people trying to pull for your success and keep you focused. In marriage, I do see like too many distractions of like outside people interfering, trying to throw a monkey wrench into the process. And that's the one thing that you can't do in marriage that you can do if you're pursuing a goal. If you're trying to achieve something and people are trying to hold you down, you can just like get them out of your life. You can get that distraction out of your life. But if you're in marriage with somebody and you have other people influencing the relationship, or either if they themselves are going against you, then it's just not going to work. This is why the one thing I do disagree with Coach Greg Adams on is about women being like your best friend. I mean, I do think a lot of guys get that wrong, but I feel like, and I think, if you're going to be around somebody a whole lot, you need to get along with them, you know. And even then, that's still not enough, but that's a good starter. It's kind of like some guys I know, you know, we get along well, but I could not live with them because I see how nasty they are, or I see how irresponsible they are. They are cool as friends, but not to be living with. So with that woman, we need to get along. I need to be able to live with her, and we need to be on the same page. So anyway, I give Hafeez this point. I don't want to talk too long because obviously I can talk too. So let's see what Coach Greg says.
10-year mark, so you'd probably be a little bit more spiteful than you are. I'm not saying that you're spiteful, but you'd be even more spiteful if you're paying a ridiculous amount of alimony and everything that you'd be paying. But is there anything wrong with what he's saying? He's basically saying, I hear you, Coach. It ain't easy out there, brother. Like, life's tough, marriage is tough, making money is tough, things are tough. But don't tell me that I shouldn't get married, or don't tell me that I can't have a successful marriage. How do you process that?
I don't think anyone says do not get married. I think they caution people to say do not get married. If I say do not get married without leverage, that is a position, right, that you can change. Thus, if you read my book, it says once you get to that position, you can then make the decision. You'll probably come out better than going in it without it. However, this is what I will always say. When men do find that that solution does not work out, they are left alone. There's nobody to help them. So people encourage people, hey, why not? Give it a try. But when you go bankrupt, when you lose your kids, when your kids are taken from you, when the courts kind of punish you for making this decision or punishes you for being a slightly better, higher earner, then nobody's there with information. Nobody's there with context. No one's there to help them. And I believe, not feel, I know, understand, believe, and I have evidence to show that men are left alone when they don't succeed in this endeavor. And that is the void that I feel, because I can tell you, hey, men are alone in this situation. Men are homeless. Men are thinking about eating guns. Men are thinking about, they have no way out. Men are losing big time, and we're losing a fraction of men due to manipulation, due to people trying to, you know, they may be hurt. A woman might be hurt in a marriage, or she might feel that she's not being appreciated. And then she throws a grenade in the room. What happens then? See, that's where I come in. I get to show you what happens when the grenade is there. And I also encourage you, you're not alone in this. A lot of people come to my content and they find out, oh, you too? See, before, as I said, 70 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, there was nobody presenting this side of the argument.
This side, I see what you're saying.
This right here. Nobody, they just left men alone and they said, well, you must not have been hitting it right, or you must not have loved her right, or you must have abused the kids. That's what she said. She said that you were, and nobody came to this position. So listen, there was a void open and I ran right through the
so
hole.
when you talk about leverage,
catch this smoke. Wow. Okay. That statement that he said is powerful right there. Powerful. Now, Hafeez is going to say something to counter that, but truthfully, what he said right here, yeah, he wins this round. Coach Greg Adams wins this round. Not flawless victory, but Coach Greg Adams wins. What Hafeez showed me was my interpretation on what he thought. Had to re-examine it. So now I know he's not as naive as most would call him. Of course, though, it's something I'm going to leave that for later. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video because I believe I'm going to do a second video. But Coach Greg Adams, of course, wins this round. And pretty much, as men out there, you make the decision if you're going to get married or not. I mean, you can just go off of this video right here from what the woman said. Now, unless if you get a woman like that, and of course, though, she does OnlyFans, something that is one of my red flags that I do not cross. But she did it during the midst of their marriage. You know, so once again, that's something that a woman can do in the middle of the relationship, and you either have to eat it or just walk away. But if you walk away, you know, you're leaving money on the table and you're losing. They had 3 kids, right? You're going to lose the 3 kids. And I wish that guy, the husband, was there so that he could speak for himself, because I'm only hearing her side that they are happy. Of course, she's not going to go in there and say that they have problems, but if he was there, maybe body language or something would tell if things are not as hunky-dory as she makes it seem, you know. But the one thing that she did say, that practically all of her women friends that was talking about their marriages or the guys that they was with or something, and I'm assuming that's for any of them that was with them for longer than 2 and 3 years or so, was complaining about their men. I'm kind of like this, you know, because of course, because I've done it. Like, you know, I might have said something about my ex-wife or a girl like, she's bad with money, or either she's giving me a headache or something like that. Okay, everybody does that type of stuff. But if a person is constantly saying like painting this picture that person is so terrible, like, oh my God, they are just stressing me out. They are worthless. They are trash. Why am I even with them? If they're talking like that, if I ever hear a woman overhear a woman talking about me like that, I will leave her right now. Not later, now. Okay? Because that tells me how she really feels about me. You know. So, anyway, that's it. You guys, tune in on my next video. I think I'll have one coming tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Hit the like button going out if you didn't, and subscribe. Thank you.
Here's how you would die in a horror film based off your zodiac sign. Alright, now Aries, you died trying to be the hero. Now you the most brave, so you come up with a plan to try to save yourself and everybody else, but you know, you just end up dying in the mix of the plan. But they do give you your props and remember you in the end. Taurus, you know, you died trying to save a friend. You probably ain't even want to go on that camping trip, you know, but you went anyway. Then the killer came and got y'all, your friend fall down, you try to save your friend and the killer kill you too. Now Gemini, you dying cause you split up from the group. You trying to be the, you know, the outspoken extrovert. You went and grabbed your flashlight like, yeah, it's a killer around, let me get out of here. You end up dying. Now Cancer, you died because you trust the killer. You can read everybody else, but you don't know who the killer is. When he got the knife in you, you just be standing there. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Now Leo, you died because you taunting the killer. You know, you brave too, you know. You want to stand up for everybody. You know, you got a chip on your shoulder because you see all your friends die and you one of the last ones. So you think you could talk shit to the killer like he can't murk you too. Now, Virgo, you die after you find out who the killer is. Like, you make it to the end because, while everybody else too busy getting killed, you playing detective trying to find out who the killer is. And about time you do, he already got your ass. And Libra, you die a virgin. You one of them people in a horror film, it's a killer, everybody getting killed, and you still worrying about fucking. And right when you about to fuck, you get killed. You ain't the person you about to fuck. Now, Scorpios, if the movie was about demons, you the one that's getting possessed. You the one that's gonna find the room with the little pentagrams or open a box that you not supposed to fucking open. Now, Sagittarius, you die thinking this shit is a prank. You're not taking shit serious ass. Like, oh, is that real blood? What? Now, Capricorn, you die in battle. You the person that, that fucks the killer up, knocks him down for a short period of time, then y'all all run, and then you go back to try to find him and he kill your ass. Now, Aquarius, you actually live, because you the smartest one. You the one, that run through the woods after everybody get killed, and you flag down, the sheriff, that's the sheriff of a town of like 62 people. Now, Pisces, you the killer.
I still wanna run to you.